and welcome to episode 183 of the WaveBack Music Podcast. My name is Chris.
And I'm Matt.
And we're here to listen to the most interesting video game music there is. During the 16-bit era, the mascot platformer was king, but out of nowhere, a new kind of character took the industry by storm, with irreverent humor, incredible animation, and some killer music. Sequels, action figures, and a Saturday morning cartoon quickly followed, but it all started with one video game about a worm in a super violent spacesuit. Launch a cow with a refrigerator, because tonight we listen to the music of Earthworm Jim Special Edition for Sega CD. Hi there, Matt.
Hi there, Chris.
How you doing?
I'm good. How's about you?
You know what? This week's been a hell of a month, but
and it's only Tuesday.
Oh, don't say that. Don't say it's Thursday. It's almost over.
It's Thursday evening, yes, as we record.
So is. Oh, don't even joke about it. Yeah, this week has been nonsense. But I will say that just about an hour ago, Nintendo dropped 2 more games on their Nintendo Switch Online service for Game Boy. 2 of my all-time favorite Game Boy games, Donkey Kong and Mario's Picross.
Oh, you are a big Picross fan, yes.
I am. Mario's Picross was the first Picross from Jupiter, and Donkey Kong for Game Boy. We covered that on here, I think.
I thought we did the Mario one, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, goodness, what did we do? Donkey Kong for Game Boy. We've definitely covered at least a song from this. Mm-hmm. Now that's gonna bug me. Did we cover this? Where is my website? Find me the WaveBack website, sirs. Where
Peasant,
are you?
You there, peasant. Find me the website.
That was that's what it was. It was our Donkey Kong special. We did a for the 40th anniversary of Donkey Kong. We did a Donkey Kong special episode.
Love a good medley. I'm so glad we got to the bottom of that.
Aren't you? I know I am. Anyway, we're here to talk about Earthworm Jim.
How about that?
How about that? Yes, Earthworm Jim was a game that you suggested. It was on the list of things to do, I think, is where you saw it.
Yes.
It's well worth talking about, and it's got quite the history. So, Matt.
Yes, sir.
Why don't you hit us with some of that history?
Earthworm Jim was released in the Super NES and Sega Genesis in October of 1994. It was met with near universal acclaim thanks to its bright, well-animated visuals and top-notch sound design. It tells the story of an earthworm named Jim, who happened to have... He said the thing. Who happened to have a special suit land on him, granting him superhuman abilities and otherworldly weaponry. He used these skills to set out on a quest to rescue Princess What's-Her-Name from the evil queen, pulsating, bloated, festering, sweaty, pus-filled, malformed slug for a butt. The game was a tremendous success, leading to numerous merchandising opportunities, sequels, ports, and even a syndicated cartoon starring Dan Castellaneta. Very surprised I got through that on the first take, of Simpsons fame as the voice of Jim. The game's credits do have their fair share of controversy surrounding them, not the least of which includes the main character's creator, Douglas TeNapel, who has come under fire for various levels of bigotry.
Yay!
Sure, that is a thing that we don't like.
This game's soundtrack is another source of some controversy. It is commonly credited to one Tommy Tallarico, who you may know as a veritable industry icon, according to him, and founder of Video Games Live. He's Steven Tyler's cousin. Aerosmith, Steven Tyler. That's his cousin. Tommy Tallarico is something of a grifter, though, and in recent years it's come to light that many of the games he's claimed to have written the music for were in fact him taking credit for other people's work. It appears that the music in Earthworm Jim was actually composed by one Mark Miller. His other works also include X-Men 2 Clone Wars for Sega Genesis, audio and video management in the original Legacy of Kain, and the Sega Saturn game Blazing Dragons. We'll be specifically listening to the Sega CD version of this game's soundtrack, as it appears to have been the most fully realized iteration with Mark Miller's name attached. So, Matt, what is your personal history with Earthworm Jim?
Oh, man. I remember when this game dropped. What were we playing? I want to say I've played both the Genesis and the Super Nintendo iterations at that time. I think one friend had the Genesis version and another friend had the Super NES version. I played a lot of this game, but thinking back on it, I don't remember. I don't remember a lot of this game either. One of the things I remember, I remember being like one of those games that like it had its quote unquote gross out, moments, like weird sound effects, farts and digestion sounds, and it was almost like Ren and Stimpy, kind of the humor-ish. I just remember having a lot of fun with it and a lot of laughing, and it was, if I remember correctly, one of those games that had the animation where if you just didn't touch the controller and Earthworm Jim was made to stand around, he would do things like Sonic would tap his toe, or
yes,
whatever.
It was one of the earliest great examples of idle animations, and he had
idle animation is perfect. That's what it is.
He had some great idle animations. My personal favorite being when he would just stand there and start throwing his gun up and down and then blow his own head off.
Yes.
That was a winner.
Yes, the last bit of thing I remember for this game is something that has stuck with me since forever. Chris, it's widely known that you're a very big fan of instruction manuals. You read them, you appreciate them. I, on the other hand, have never given a care. I'll leave it at that. I've never given a care for instruction manuals, but I remember playing the Super Nintendo version and looking at the manual, and in the manual it said that the X button that showed you what every button did, and it said that the X button would flip the light switch on and off on the porch light of a gentleman whose name I don't remember in Germany, so please stop pressing it. And that has stuck with me ever since. Anytime I press an X button, whether it's on Xbox or PlayStation or, the 8-bit do controllers, I always think, that poor German man.
It was a woman. Turns on Mrs. Schultz's porch light in Germany, so quit pressing it.
Oh man, all these years I thought it was a man. I'm sorry, Mrs. Schultz. But, but that's one of the funniest things, like, to me, that's such a great little thing about, this game is the humor didn't just exist within the game itself, it extended beyond it. And that, to me, is like the telltale sign that this IP is going to become something, because it's willing to go beyond, we'll say the confines of, the CRT 4.3. So, fantastic. I was a big fan back in the day. I really enjoyed how like we talked about it earlier, how colorful this game was. And like how just vibrant, and like the animations were so clean. It just looked so good. It was fun. I mean, now I don't know that I could play it and enjoy it, because I really don't like 2D platformers, but...
So I have, I guess, a similar experience. I remember when this game first came out, thinking it looked incredible, and I had the Super Nintendo one. My friend Adam had the Genesis one, and I remember going to his house, and we played the Genesis one first, and I was like, this is pretty awesome. And then I played the Super Nintendo one. I think I'd rented it first, and I was like, whoa. Because like I liked the music of the Genesis one, obviously, because it's good. I thought the music sounded fantastic in the Super Nintendo one, but in a very different way. But the first level of the Super Nintendo game looks so much better than the Genesis version. It's got this breathtaking sun effect in the background. Like, the sun causes this like lens flare, and when the sun's behind a mountain, the stage gets darker, and when it comes back out, it gets lighter. Like, it is this amazing effect that is just completely missing from the Genesis game. The Genesis game also has this other visual issue that is very noticeable earlier on in the game, that the Sega Genesis couldn't do transparency the way Super Nintendo could. So, like, there are these wonderful transparency effects all over the Super Nintendo game that look just dreadful on the Genesis because their way of doing transparency was just like, here's a bunch of lines that are near each other so you can kind of see through them, and I've always thought that looked like garbage. However, the Genesis version has more voice samples. It has some cooler backgroundy animation type things, specifically on, like, was it down the tubes level where everything's like kind of swooshing around instead of sitting static. It also has an entirely unique level, Intestinal Distress, that's not in the Super Nintendo version of the game. The soundtrack is a super interesting animal because the soundtrack on Genesis is louder, but the Super Nintendo version is kind of muffled. Like the sounds are super muffled, but I think the sounds are all together put together better. They're both really good in their own unique ways, which is one of the reasons I wanted to use the Sega CD one, because the Sega CD one's kind of like the best of... It's the best of everything. It's the super high quality CD, high quality MIDI sounds of like a CD-ROM game from this vintage that sounds super good. I also loved this game's irreverent humor. I love the weirdness of like launching a cow in the beginning with a refrigerator. The first boss is a dude who barfs up fish at you for some reason. Like, this game was so strange, and the cartoon was pretty funny, like, all things considered. Earthworm Jim 2 was a neat game that I don't think quite stuck the landing, but had some interesting ideas. And then this franchise just disappeared. It just fell all the way off a cliff. Like, it faded into obscurity because 2 didn't take off nearly as much as 1 did, because it wasn't nearly as polished a game as the first one was. And then you got, eventually there was a Game Boy Color sequel called Menace to the Galaxy, which was terrible. Earthworm Jim 3D got stuck in development hell and eventually came out on N64 and was not very good. And they've made some attempts at bringing it back a couple of times over the years. There was an excellent remastered edition that dropped on Xbox 360 and I think PS3 as well. But that wound up getting pulled from the shop. It's unavailable now. The first 2 games are available on Nintendo Switch Online, but the first one's only on the Genesis and the second one's only on Super Nintendo, which are arguably those are the superior versions of those games unless you count the Sega CD one and the Sega Saturn one. Those are like that's the best way to do these 2 games. Now, one of the things that I will say about the Sega CD soundtrack is that there's some sort of rights issues tied up with this that I don't understand. A long time ago, back when the Intellivision Amico was going to be a thing, Thomas the Tallarico Engine came on the Stone Age Gamer podcast to talk to us about the Intellivision Amico and put our fears to rest. And we had this massive 2-episode interview with Tommy Tallarico where we talked about all that nonsense, and he was just being himself, and I took a lot of what he said at face value because I didn't realize then what a scumbag grifter he was. But we did have a conversation about Earthworm Jim's music, which during the show he took credit for, and at one point I asked him about the Sega CD soundtrack, and he said that why is the Sega CD soundtrack not something like, why has the Sega CD version never been re-released or put anywhere else? And he said something to the effect of there were some legal rights issues regarding that game's soundtrack that he couldn't get into, and I'm very curious what those are. But alas,
the fact that he's been lying for so long that they're like, we can't do this, you're a liar. No.
I mean, just to put that in perspective, there was supposed to be a new original Earthworm Jim game being made for the Intellivision Amico. And they put together a very quick, short, animated demo of Jim running around on a beach that looked like gameplay. And it later came out that that's literally all there was, because they didn't have permission from the rights holders of Earthworm Jim to make a new game. They just went ahead and moved forward because people like Tommy and Ted Tenaple, whatever the hell his first name was.
Douglas
Tenaple are tied, to the Earthworm Jim's history, that them being involved seemed like enough. But it's not. They don't own the they don't own the rights to make a new Earthworm Jim game, and they just plowed forward with like, yeah, we're making this, but they didn't make it. It never got any farther than them saying, yes, we're making it. Here's an animated bit to pretend we're making it, but we're not. Earthworm Jim's got an interesting history. I would love to see this brand come back and evolve in a really good way, because while the games themselves, I was just playing the first one before we were on tonight. I had a little bit extra time after dinner, so I booted up the Genesis version up on the Switch and played the first handful of levels. And like, it's still a relatively fun game to play, but this game is definitely more flash than substance, and always has been, which is one of the reasons that I think this property didn't stand the test of time, because it didn't evolve. It, fell back on its laurels of just being comedy and fun music and really good looking visuals, but like the actual gameplay itself is pretty frustrating and inconsistent a lot of times. And there's really something to it, like Jim's basic moveset is interesting. And if you made a game that was well designed around this humor and his specific abilities, there's a really good game to be made there. If this franchise was allowed to keep evolving, I think it really would have been something special. But alas, it's time to listen to some music.
No.
Yeah, I know.
I'm, with all due respect, it's a very interesting story, because I don't think there's a lot of IPs that show up to the table with that much baggage.
Yeah, this one here, this took off in such a huge way. This was like the industry darling, winning Game of the Year. Like, this was peak 16-bit gaming. And for a brand like that to just fall off the cliff so thoroughly and never make a proper comeback. Like, what was it? In 2020, I think, or 2021, there was an animated thing about a new cartoon series for Earthworm Jim. They did a whole commercial about it, and like, poof, never materialized. Utterly fascinating. They got the voice of Homer Simpson to be Earthworm Jim on that freaking cartoon. Come on. So weird. Any Hoosers. So we're going to start listening to some music, and the first song we're going to listen to is New Junk City. This song is used in the game in several different ways, especially if you're playing the Genesis version. When you start playing the game, the first song you hear as the title screen music is New Junk City. And then you get the title card for the levels, which is, here's the stage and here's its name, and it starts playing New Junk City. And then you start playing the level, and it starts playing New Junk City, but it restarts every time, which is insane. So as an homage to that, we kicked off the episode with a little bit of this song, and now you're going to get to hear it again, but this time you're going to get to hear the full thing, the full enchilada, the whole shebang. This is New Junk City from Earthworm Jim Special Edition. Enjoy. New Junk City from Earthworm Jim, the special edition. How'd that one grab you?
It's a beautiful piece of music.
Dang, Skippy.
I really, really love the synthesizers there. There's a part where it kind of like that really grabs me.
Yeah, I've always liked the It's interesting because the different versions of this highlight. They put a different focus on different pieces of the music, and I think it's the Super Nintendo version that puts a little bit more focus on the and the Genesis one kind of puts a little bit more of the focus in the other direction. And I feel like that melody gets maybe a little bit buried in this particular flavor of it, but I just love the way it all comes together. This is a really, really, really awesome piece of music.
Those kicks are so big too.
Oh my god, the sounds they use on this is just it's hard to explain just how phenomenal stuff like this sounded, you know? Especially coming off of your usual 16-bit games, when you bumped up to CD quality sound with these high quality MIDI instruments, like, oh god, they hit so hard, so good.
And it really is kind of like a technological leap too.
Oh, for reals, yeah. For really reals.
Yeah, I'm as we're talking, I'm kind of listening to it again, and those kicks are just so big.
Yeah. You might even say they kick.
What?
Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba.
That seems in league with the episode.
Yes, indeed. Oh, phenomenal. All right, well, then let us move on to the next song. And the next one that I have on my little playlist here is I'm just kind of playing these in the order that you would hear them in the game, more or less. So this next one is Andy Asteroids. This is a... after you beat every stage, you do this weird flying through space bit where you're racing against Psychro. And if you win, you get to move on to the next stage. If you lose, you have to fight Psychro. And while you're hurtling through space, collecting these little blue orbs, it's playing banjo music. So here's Andy Asteroids. Enjoy! Well, nothing says hurtling through space quite like banjo plucking.
I mean, I think it's par for the course for this game.
Oh, for sure.
You spend 20 minutes playing this game, you go, yeah, that tracks.
Absolutely. It's 100% spot on. Yeah, and you're flying through space and you get one of the speed boosts and Jim goes, "Whoa, Nelly!"
Yes. Oh, wow. Unlocking memories right there.
Oh, I loved Jim's voice samples. That was like part of what made me love this game so much. Loved, picking up the plasma gun. He goes, "Plasma!" Or you put the cheat codes in on the Genesis version, and he goes, "Cheater." It's just magnificent.
I love a game that's self-aware. Again, that's part of the humor, right?
Yeah.
So good.
So very good. Speaking of so very good, I don't know. Did you have anything else you really wanted to say? What can you say about that piece of music? It's just banjo music.
I was gonna be a jerk and say, is it a faux pas to ask if Banjo Guy Ali has done this?
Banjo Guy Ali specifically avoids doing covers of songs that are already banjo songs.
I love that guy.
Because I really want him to cover. I think we did Stunt Race FX on this show. I really wanted him to cover the that first song, the Easy Ride. I think it would be amazing to hear that played on an actual banjo. And he was just like, "No, I don't do that." I'm like, "Son of a, you should. It's so good."
I think he does it when no one's looking.
He's probably doing it right now.
That Sly Devil.
He's just sitting back in Ireland, being all awesome.
Ugh.
Plucking away on his banjo to the Stunt Race FX soundtrack, just sitting there thinking the whole time, Chris would love this, and he's never going to hear it.
Save some for the rest of us, dude. Jeez. I love that guy. He's such a great guy. Anyway.
He really is. All right. Well, then let's move on to one of my absolute favorites. I love this song, and I think it is somewhat wasted in this game because the Psychro fights are really short. So if you lose to Psychro in the race, you have to fight him. And it plays this just super awesome song. I don't know how else to describe it. It's just a wonderful piece of music. There's a bit towards the beginning that drives me bananas in this version and the Sega Genesis version, where there's these 3 orchestra hits, and one of them, it hits this weird sour note on the third hit. On the Super Nintendo one, it's in key with the rest of the song, and that's the first version I had heard, was that version, and it just sounds the most natural thing in the world. But this version, the Sega Genesis version, I feel like the third hit is this like weirdly sour note, and it drives me nuts every time. Rest of it, though, phenomenal song. And for some reason, this one has an actual conclusion. So here is Psychro from Earthworm Jim Special Edition. Enjoy. love that song so much. I used to get to Psychro on Super Nintendo. So way back in the old days, one of my favorite things to do when I was in high school is I would like hold a microphone up to my speakers to record the music so that I could listen to it in my headphones while I was in school. Because you couldn't get video game music to listen to, like, just generally back when we were younger. Like, yeah, this show would have been impossible when I was in high school. And I remember getting to Psychro and pausing it immediately and just holding the microphone up and just blasting that Super Nintendo version and just listening to this cruddy sounding version of this song over and over again. Because it's a simple song, but like, it's so me. It's just major chords and just like this whole time I'm typing away on my computer answering some questions for some social media stuff and for SAG, and I'm just like bopping up and down like, yeah, I freaking love this song. This is having a blast. Oh God, I love this tune. How's this one? How'd this one grab you? I know this is more me than you are. This specific song. But...
Yes, it is. No, and you know, whatever. We both have our leanings. It's not a thing. Yes, it's it reminds me of some other soundtracks of the time too. There's a little like Sonic the Hedgehog feel to it to some extent, but I don't remember those fights with Psychro. I remember really enjoying Psychro because I think that's such a great name, but
well, you probably always won the races then.
Yep, I was that good.
Well, that's the thing. Those races weren't hard to win. Mm-hmm. So, like, unless you like really screwed up, they got harder towards the end of the game. And this game was super tough, so it's entirely like. Did you ever finish the game before?
I don't know that I did, but I think my friend did, and I was, present for it.
Right.
I used to get really, as a kid, I used to get really frustrated at platformers.
This game in particular could be extremely frustrating.
Oh, yeah.
It's not an extraordinarily well-designed game in a lot of ways.
A lot of them weren't, which is also another reason why, I won't go back and play a lot of these, even though I would love to. I just can't do it.
This game gets a whole lot better with a rewind button. One of my favorite things about playing Nintendo Switch Online, and a lot of emulators, modern emulators do that too, but like playing the games on NSO with a rewind button,
That's the only way I got through Mega Man 2.
Oh yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah. But Earthworm Jim. It's good. It's funny because this soundtrack can be really all over the place, and I think this is just...
It so is.
It's just another feather in its cap of all over the place. You know what I mean? Like, but it's so well done. I think that's going to be the overarching thing here is all these songs are just so well done.
They are, and like you said, this is so all over the map. Like this,
yeah.
This is, I guess, not so terribly removed from like New Junk City, but like this is a fun, joyful song for a weird boss battle in space. Whereas New Junk City was just kind of straight up badass, and Anti-Asteroids was all banjo. And the next song's gonna be a real hard turn from that. So,
yeah.
Oh goodness. Well, speaking of the next song, let us go ahead and listen to the next song, which is a joke unto itself. The song for this level was built into the joke. The track is called "What the Heck," and so the stage itself takes place in hell, which is ruled over by Evil the Cat. And as you are playing, it's fire and brimstone like you would expect, but there's also like lawyers running around, like throwing paperwork at you because it's hell. You have a mini boss fight against a snowman in hell, and the music starts off as what the big sweeping. It's a classical tune, and I can't remember what it is. But then you hear a record scratch. And it becomes, what's the music you would expect in hell? Elevator music. And once the elevator music starts playing, that's when you start hearing the screams of the screaming souls in the background of like, no, the torture. So here's What the Heck from Earthworm Jim. Don't enjoy, because it's supposed to be torture. Well, it's beautiful.
It's a masterpiece.
It's just lovely. I don't mind it at all, actually.
No, I really
it's a perfectly lovely piece of music.
Detach all the screams, and it actually it's a really, I could really truly hear it in a dentist's office or something.
Yeah, like as elevator music goes, it's not so bad. It's not so bad. I love this stupid game. Anyway, let's just move on. So
there's no real.
Yeah, it speaks for itself.
Yeah, we'd be doing a disservice to it if we talked about it.
So the next track on our list is called "Snot a Problem." I love this freaking song. So this is this is a stage where you're bungee jumping against Major Mucus, and you have to like beat him against the wall and like basically rip his string of snot before he destroys your bungee cord. And there's also this monster at the bottom that will like gruesomely cut you in half if you like hit the bottom and you don't move out of its way. And Jim just screams this blood-curdling scream when he cuts you in half. It's really, really strange. But this song is so freaking good. It's got a really good energy to it. Oh, this game. Love it. Love it. Here's Not a Problem. Enjoy. Well, there you go. That was Snot a Problem. And I must say, dancing along with that was not a problem at all.
How do you make a tissue dance?
Put a little buggy in it.
There it is.
Hey.
Nah, that song's a lot of fun, though.
That song freaking rules. I love it. I love the beat in that song. It's got such a good energy to it.
You really took the words out of my mouth. I was going to say it's got a really great energy. Yeah.
Marvelous. Really makes you want to beat up a ball of snot.
You know, whatever floats your boat.
Or wads your tissue. I don't know. Look, that song's awesome. And the stage is pretty fun, too. It's not so bad. Except when he spins around, he does this little move where he spins around whole Major Mucus. He'll, like, spin around and like he's invincible, and it's really a pain in the butt.
Really was a tough game.
Yeah. This was as far as I got when I played it before jumping on the show tonight. I got to the third It's Not a Problem stage, and then I had to stop. So anyways, the songs are kind of... Some songs are reused in this game. I'll put it that way. So we're just going to keep trudging along. This next track we're going to listen to is Level 5, which also appears way later in the Genesis game. I think in one of the last areas this song is used. But anyway, it's called Level 5 on this soundtrack, and we're going to listen to it because it's a killer song. So enjoy. Here's Level 5. That was Level 5, aka Buttville, depending on which flavor of this soundtrack you're tracking down. I like that song. I like it quite a bit, matter of fact.
I like the way it starts off with almost like a Legend of Zelda save screen moment there. That like like whimsical fairy, you know,
yeah, it's very like mysterious sounding.
And then it just goes into this like, you know, chunky synthesized bass,
big old really, slap bass.
Yeah, thonking down there.
Thonking, good word.
Yeah.
Thonking and a chonking. Love it.
Oh, what a great soundtrack.
Yeah, it's pretty killer. So we're gonna take ourselves another big old right hand turn here to something completely different. This is gonna be a ragtime piano tune for the stage Who Turned Out the Lights. Enjoy. Was Who Turned Out the Lights from Earthworm Jim, and that's a real catchy tune right there.
I looped it just for the hell of it. It's ragtime music. To me, is chaotic, and then to think about it in this game, I don't know. It seems to make sense in its own weird way, but it's just done so well. Like, I feel like, you know, if you're gonna make your own versions of these songs, you know, you're gonna do ragtime, like, you really, really have to do it well. And just as a song that is being a ragtime track, it's such a good song.
No, I agree. If you're going to do this, you better do it right. And I think they nailed it. I think they nailed it on this one.
I
did a
think
pretty
so,
dang
too.
good job. Liked it. It was fun. So now we get to move on to For Pete's Sake, which was a very frustrating level because this is the one where Peter Puppy is prancing around, and if you make a mistake, he gets he hulks out and he bites you, and you have to lose a bunch of progress. But pretty fun little song here. So here is For Pete's Sake. Enjoy. There you go. For Pete's Sake, what a fun song, huh? Classic.
It's just so quirky.
It is. Quirky is a good word.
I don't know any other way to describe it.
I don't either.
I mean, again, like I said, this soundtrack is just so all over the place. But this certainly feels more like platformer music. But, you know, when you set it up against all the other tracks we've listened to, you just kind of go, I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, no, it's a quirky tune. It's a little odd, but then again, you know, it's perfect for this game, and it's perfect for this stage. It's like, you know, you're in this stage with this big moon in the background, you're in space, and there's all these horrible tentacles and stuff trying to get you, and Peter Puppy's just like tra-la-laing along, doing this very cute, you know, skipping animation. So it's pretty spot on. Anyways, we've got 2 songs left, and this next one is called Use Your Head. This is a very frustrating level if I remember it correctly. There's just a lot of obstacles in your way, and you're like using the helicopter spin of your head, which is not the easiest thing to control, to try and safely make your way to the bottom of the stage. And yeah, it's a pain in the butt, but it's a good song. So here is Use Your Head. Enjoy. was Use Your Head. That one went pretty hard. I like it.
It certainly does go really hard. It reminds me of some Castlevania stuff.
Okay, yeah, I can hear that.
It's that metal, and then the lead solos and stuff. A lot of that's really reminiscent to me of a lot of the the modern takes on Castlevania things.
Word. Yeah, that's I can hear that. Oh, yeah, I don't know, man. Good tune. Don't have a whole lot more to say other than I think it's very intense. I think it gets the intensity of the stage really well. Obviously, there's a little bit extra bits in this Sega CD version that aren't in the regular 16-bit versions, where this one just kind of gets a little guitar solo-y. But certainly not going to complain about that. But it does bring us, sadly, to our final song of the evening. All good things must end.
That's
now,
true.
I believe on the playlist you're listening to, this is Down the Tubes is the name of the song that we're going to be listening to. Yes. So Down the Tubes, this is the first time you hear this song, but it's also used, if memory serves, for the last stage of the game, where you are actually fighting against Queen Slug for a Butt, and the stage Slug for a Butt, where you have to fight the Queen Slug for a Butt, which is a really cool looking battle, if I remember correctly. There was just she has this animation where she's like using this wand, and it's I'm gonna look it up to watch it while I'm listening. Wowzers. But yeah, it's like she's freaking huge, and you're like riding on this big like this little snot thing, and like I don't know, she's got this magic wand with all this really cool power. Whenever she swings it, it's got a really good animation to it, like most of this game. It's a pretty solid last boss battle. She's also freaking enormous. But anyway, this is Slug for a Butt. It's our last song of the evening, and I think you're gonna like it because it's a killer song. Enjoy. there you have it. That's it. That's the whole thing. That's the whole shebang. The whole kit caboodle. That was Slug for a Butt. What'd you think of that one?
I think the name is great, but I think it's a fantastically wonderful final boss song. I think it's so well done.
Yeah, it's weird that this is also used in a stage way earlier in the game that is extremely intense. It's the stage where you got to do the submarine thing, but that submarine is just so hard to control, and like you have that time limit, and you're just like, biting your teeth biting your nails all the time. But yeah, if you're gonna reuse a song, why not reuse one that it fits perfectly well in both of those situations. I would have preferred to have something original, but what are you gonna do?
I mean, yeah, I think intense is certainly the word for the sub level as well as this final fight. Yeah, I'm with you. If you're gonna reuse it, this is the one to reuse.
Yeah, it definitely works really well for it. Great tune, great soundtrack, great pick, Matt. Thanks for bringing this one to the table.
I'm just here to tick boxes, whatever that means.
Boxes, they need to be ticked. If you don't tick them, who's going to do it, right?
Probably someone else, but I don't know if they'll do as good a job.
Exactly. I'm not going to do as good a job. I'm not as good at ticking boxes as you are. But anyways, that's enough absolute nonsense.
Yeah, seriously.
That's enough Earthworm Jim, which is indeed absolute nonsense. We here at the WaveBack Podcast are incredibly grateful to everyone who listens, and we love communicating with you when we can. We have a couple of ways you can do that. There's the Geekade Discord channel, in which we have a WaveBack chat where we frequently discuss all manner of stuff relating to video game music and whatever our next episodes are going to be. Of course, you can always still send us an email at mail@geekade.com. While you're at it, check out all our social media channels, which you should totally follow, like, and subscribe to if you haven't already. WaveBack and other Geekade podcasts are made possible thanks to the Geekade Patreon page. There, patrons can get access to a monthly podcast topic and recording schedule, get early access to most of Geekade's shows, including this one and more. And if you've enjoyed our podcasts over the years, follow the link in the description and give it a look. We really appreciate it. Finally, as always, be sure to check out all the other great content we have on our site over at geekade.com. Let's see. Join us next time. I probably should have done this before I read that whole spiel, but it's my pick. And I was of two minds of where to go here, but I'm going to follow my heart on this one, and we're going to talk about a game that I played for the first time just within the last couple of months. It's been around for a while. It's been on my list for a long time. People have been telling me for years that I need to play it, and I finally sat down and made it happen. And I was I came away extraordinarily impressed. So next time we're going to be listening to the music of Undertale.
Ooh, okay.
So, yeah, look forward to that one. And in the meantime, we're going to be leaving you with this game's ending theme, which is just as absurd as you'd expect it to be. I mean, you start the game launching a cow. And as you're playing the game, occasionally, the cow will just fly across the background. And at the very end of the game, you finally rescue Princess What's-Her-Name. And what happens? The cow lands on her and kills her.
Mm-hmm.
Bitchy games.
What are you going to do?
It's art, is what it is. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Enjoy the ending theme. Enjoy your earthworms however you see fit. And we'll see you next time.